Happy Friday, everybody. It's Jim, it's Amadeus, and there's no Pac 12 after dark tonight or on Saturday this week. It's all gone. They're playing basketball there now, folks, not playing football any longer. So we could talk about last night, Amadeus. It was you know, from your standpoint, you gave out some winners yesterday.
Yeah, I gave out the over 30 in that lovely Thursday night football game that many thought was going to be a clunker. And sure enough, we hit 31 points in the first half alone. So
Right.
that was great. I also had my premium play on the Patriots. So that was nice. And I had a little sprinkle on the money line as well myself. So yeah, very, very nice night.
Bill Belichick did you a solid last night.
Yes, he showed up. I don't need the Patriots to win many games, Jim, but the game I needed them to show up, then they showed up.
They
So
showed
thank
up.
thank you for that, Bill.
You know, um, and I don't know why I didn't know this. I should have known it. Bill's son is the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, yeah. So it just feels like his whole staff is friends and family by now, right? Like look at
Well, yeah. The interesting thing to me, they were talking about this before in the pregame show, and they were, I forget. I think it was Marshawn Lynch said that um, Belichick, should be fired at the end of the season. And Fitzpatrick and Tony Gonzalez go, wait. He said, the, you know, like him, dislike him, whatever. He's got 7 Super Bowls. He said the least you can do is bring him in and say, look, do you want to be here anymore? Do you want to leave? Do you want? How does how does this work out? He's got a year left on a contract. So if they fire him, which they could, then they have to pay him. Uh, they could bring him in and say, what do you want to do? Do you want a general manager? Do you just want to coach? Um, there's all kinds of things. But so if they wanted to, and people forget this is how he got. Some people forget this is how he got to the Patriots. He got traded to the Patriots from the Jets. He was supposed to be the Jets head coach, and he never made that press conference where Bill Parcells was going to announce him as the Jets head coach, and he left a note on Parcells' desk saying, "I've been asked to coach the Patriots," and so the Patriots gave. The Patriots gave up a first-round draft choice to the Jets in exchange for Bill Belichick.
wow.
So you can do that, and we've seen it done before. We saw the Buccaneers um, give out, I think it was 2 draft choices to Oakland at the time to get John Gruden. So if it didn't surprise me at all that Al Davis would trade a coach, but anyway, it's so there's it's not like it hasn't happened. So we'll have to see how that plays out in up in New England. It'll be an interesting off season up there, and as they transition from you know the winning seasons that they had to. And they have to also make a decision as to whether or not they want a quarterback. Because if you're going to get a quarterback, this might be the year to do it. Because there's so many good young guys coming out in the draft. So if you're not sold on the quarterbacks they have there in camp now, this might be your chance to get one.
Yeah, well, it's definitely the year, not only because of how great the quarterback
Right, the
draft class
depth.
is, but
Right,
how often have the Patriots had a top 5 draft pick in the last 20 years? So like
not often.
it's now or never, right? This is your chance to,
Yeah.
to draft a quality guy for the future. And
Mhm.
look, we've talked a lot about Bill Belichick. He's
Mhm.
he's a great coach. I've always been one of the people that thought, Brady was the guy that made him.
Mhm.
Brady was the better of the two, but there's definitely no doubt that he is one of the best defensive
Mhm.
coaches in the NFL. And I think this season, say what you want, but look at the way they played their last four games. The defense
Mhm.
keeps them in games.
Yep.
So I think that speaks volumes at itself. He's definitely a fantastic defensive mind.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of the problems with the Patriots actually boil down to Robert Kraft. So, like, it's one thing to get on Belichick's case for the
Right.
season they've had this year, but I think a lot of it has to be shouldered by Robert Kraft, really, because I personally believe Belichick has had to play this season with his hands handcuffed because he can't start the guy he wanted to start.
Right.
Now, look, finally, he got his second straight start, and
Mhm.
they showed some results yesterday. So maybe that
Mhm.
opens Kraft's eyes. But as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, I don't know. Kraft is running the Patriots the same way John Mara is running the Giants, and look at
Right.
that situation has turned out over there. You hire a new GM and a new head coach to
Mhm.
fix your team, but you tell them this is our guy. We're
Mhm.
going to stick with this guy. You make him
Yeah.
work. It's not how it works.
No. And to your point, which I agree with on Belichick, Belichick, um, people forget that Belichick had uh, was building a. This is gonna, to some people, it's gonna sound nuts. He was building a dynasty in Cleveland. I mean, he that you could have. I could see how he could have done in Cleveland what he did in New England. Because when he was the head coach there, they made the playoffs the first year he was a head coach. The second year they didn't make the playoffs, and the reason they didn't make the playoffs that year happened to be because uh, in October of that season. So again, you're only a month into the season, right? That's when it was announced that they were moving from Cleveland to Baltimore because they had to make that deal done before the money sunset, and the money was going to sunset at the end of October. So they had to make that announcement. So they made the announcement, and you can imagine how disheartening it was for the players to go to a stadium where fans were upset and screaming and ready to burn the place down because they were moving from Cleveland to Baltimore, and one of the best fan bases in all of sports, um, and that's the Cleveland Browns fan base, who had shown up, 80,000 strong year after year after year, good and bad. Was losing their football team, and he was there. And ironically, his defensive coordinator was Nick Saban. So Saban left to take LSU's job, and Belichick went to the Jets, and didn't take that job. Went on from there to the to the Patriots, and the rest is history. He only had one losing season prior to Brady showing up.
Yeah,
So
so we'll see. It's going to be an interesting offseason for sure with what happens with the Patriots.
I'm interested too in what Mike Tomlin does. You know, he's got to get the offense running, and whether it's an offensive coordinator he needs, or whether it's you know whatever pieces to that puzzle he's got to come up with, he's going to have to. I mean, the Steelers can't win consistently by scoring less than 20 points a game.
Yeah. See, the thing with the Steelers is though they kind of were starting to fix those problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
fired Matt Canada, and then
Yeah.
they had that big game. They had 400 yards offense. They scored 16 points, but
Yeah.
the results were starting to show.
Yeah.
And then Kenny Pickett gets injured,
Right.
so it's really tough, that situation, because
Yeah.
you started to see results after making a decision like that. Let's get rid of the offensive coordinator, but now it's been stalled obviously by
Yeah.
Trubisky, who's not even the guy really, right? You fired Canada because he
Mm-hmm.
was making bad play calls, and now you promoted somebody to that position who's there to help Kenny Pickett run the
Right.
offense. So yeah, now he's getting thrown this curveball. Like I just got the job to start calling plays, and I got to change my whole
Way of
thing
doing
for
things.
yeah. I got to change like my set of plays that I want to call because I got to tailor it to Trubisky now.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
So yeah, so I can see they're having a good season. They're having a good season, and they're what just two more wins away from Tomlin keeping that winning record streak.
Yeah.
So
I think they're going to get there. Tomlin's going to keep going on that. Real quick, let move in tomorrow. There's some college football tomorrow. There's college football tonight, as a matter of fact. FCS, I'm sorry, quarterfinals. Furman is at Montana. That game's 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Lowell Girardo and Jay Walker on the call for that one. So that's that one. And then the FCS quarterfinal at noon on ESPN with Connor Onion and Tom Luckenbill. It's Villanova of Philadelphia this team is, there's a couple of teams out there that just seems to get there every year. South Dakota State's in it, and then the FCS quarterfinal of North Dakota State, which is basically the Alabama of FCS. North Dakota State at South Dakota. That's 2:30 on ABC with Roy Philpott and Roddy Jones on the call for that one. North Dakota State has actually turned down numerous opportunities to go to D1 because they just, enjoy year after year after year the dominance that they have in the quarter in that. The final FCS quarterfinal is Albany at Idaho, and we already know. From my standpoint, I'm a Vandals. I like the name.
your Vandals got a good little team there, Jim.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked. You know what? Let me check the line on that game because I wouldn't be shocked if they win, but they could be favored by 20 points for all I know. So
Well, I mean, Albany going out all the way out to Idaho. That's a trip. Teddy Emmerich and Jay Markey is on the call for that one.
all right, I got it here. Yeah, 4.5 point favorite, your Vandals. So they should win the game.
Go Idaho. Yeah. Kelly Johnson, my pal. Interestingly enough, Kelly was a star basketball player for the women's basketball team in Idaho, and her dad was a star on the basketball team for the men's team, and they are the only father-daughter combination in the Idaho College Sports Hall of Fame. So there you go. So one other game tomorrow, and it's always one that's entertaining to watch. It's Army-Navy. It's being played, ironically, in Foxborough. We talked about Foxborough a few minutes ago. The Army-Navy game in Foxborough, 3 o'clock, Nestler and Gary Danielson. It's on CBS. And it's always an entertaining game to watch. It's just one of those things where you're just so taken by the fact that most of these guys will never play college football. I'm sorry, pro football, and it's the last college game. And then, of course, the fact of the matter will be that they will be, serving the country from that point on. So, good on them, and it's always a good game to watch and something entertaining. So, by all means, if you get an opportunity to watch it, take advantage of it. Let's go to the NFL, CBS. Jacksonville against Cleveland. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis. Jacksonville, we don't know, or I don't know, I'll put it that way, what Trevor Lawrence, he's got a high ankle sprain. We don't know if he's going to play. Cleveland has got that good defense, and they've got, I think Joe Flacco was going to start at quarterback for Cleveland on Sunday. So should be an interesting game. Jacksonville, both the teams. I'm not going to say well, Jacksonville I'm sure would like to continue to keep that in first place in that division. Cleveland just keep shooting themselves in the foot. they get injury after injury after injury, and that's not helping them. But they're still in the hunt.
Yeah, this is one I think they can actually take at home this weekend. Obviously, the quarterback situation is the big question mark for the Jags. The fact that Trevor Lawrence is even questionable for the game is amazing. that they're
Yeah.
that he's even being considered that he can play. But they just put Christian Kirk on the IR as well this today. So this is a team that's dealing now with other key injuries on their offense, not just quarterback. And
Hmm.
Cleveland, as bad as their offense has been, we've seen them win those rock fight kind of games at
Yeah.
home. Obviously, there was that 13-10 win they had a few weeks ago, and
Right.
then they went on this little road trip out west. But now they're back at home.
Hmm.
Flacco's got a game under his belt. He's playing for a job. He's been sitting
Yeah.
on the couch all season wanting to play, just nobody wanted to take him, and
Right.
now here's his chance. So yeah, he's going to be coming. He's going to be coming for the weakened Jaguars here at home. I would probably take the Browns. That one was actually -1 earlier in the week, but now -3 for the Browns.
Okay. Houston. Kevin Harlan and Trent Green is in the Meadowlands to take on the Jets. So the Jets D up against Houston's offense.
Yes, and Zach Wilson is reluctantly starting this week for the Jets once again. So it'll be interesting because obviously the Texans are the hottest rookie in the NFL right
Yep.
now. They just find ways to win games. This Jets team finds a way to screw
To
you
lose
week
games, yes.
week in and week out, losing 13-8 at home, which isn't even the ugliest score on the board that week somehow because there was a 6-0 game. But yeah,
There you go.
this is one I don't know what to do. I see a lot of the public on Houston. I don't know if I want to take Houston. I can't take the Jets again because I was on them last week against the
Hmm.
Falcons, and it just I can't stomach it again. But would it shock me if the Jets won this game against the Texans?
Hmm.
Absolutely not.
Here's one that I imagine, and I don't know the lines. You can tell me. I imagine this is a close one. Indianapolis at Cincinnati. McCarthy, James
Yeah,
Lofton, and Jay Feely on the call.
you nailed it. This is how close it is. It opened at -1 for the Colts, and it's now -2 for the Bengals after that Monday night performance.
Hmm.
So a lot of recency bias, I would say, in the line, just because obviously it opened as the -1, and then as
Hmm.
soon as people saw the Bengals with that big performance on Monday night, and don't get me wrong, Jake Browning played very well, but we
Hmm.
both agreed, they probably lose that game if Trevor
Hmm.
Lawrence doesn't get injured. There's no way I can't see them not going down the field on that last minute drive and putting the touchdown dagger that wins the game. So this is one where I kind of lean to the Colts. I don't love the game, but I
Hmm.
would lean to the Colts here. They were the original favorite, and Gardner Minshew, he's playing for a
That's right.
job too
The
because
mustache.
he's
Hmm.
been miss. Yeah, Minshew mania used to be a thing.
Hmm.
Obviously, hasn't been a thing the last few years. But I'm sure he's sick of being backup. He probably views himself as a starter, so I think
Hmm.
this is his chance. Absolutely, he knows there's nobody. He knows it's not his team, but there's nobody threatening him because of the injury to Anthony
Right.
Richardson. So he has a real shot
Hmm.
to showcase what he has. And even if he ends up being a starter on another team next year, I think that's how he's using this season. And if he can
Hmm.
get the Colts to the playoffs, then I think it'll speak volumes about the way he played.
Yeah. 100%. And that's Cincinnati and Indianapolis geographically are relatively close, and there's a lot of the eastern eastern Indiana folks who for many years were Cincinnati Reds fans, Cincinnati Bengals fans, and then of course the Colts got out there, and so there's split allegiances. So it's one of those games where you think of Cincinnati and Cleveland as being rivals, right? Well, Cincinnati and Indianapolis aren't that much further apart than Cleveland and Cincinnati are. So it's one of those things where there is a natural rivalry between Indianapolis and Cincinnati. So there's that part of it too. Speaking of rivalries, in a game that could determine first place and whether or not you know the Buccaneers make it to the playoffs. It's Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Spiro Ditas are Adam Archuleta. Um, these two teams have played each other 60 times in the history of the two franchises and the franchise. 60 times they played each other, and it is 30-30. So there you go in that category. Um, Atlanta's been winning despite some pretty shabby quarterback play. Tampa Bay has been, up and down, and you know, the our quarterback Baker Mayfield. Um, there's actually a stat which I didn't realize until I saw it, and that was that Baker Mayfield has leads the league in deep balls this year. He's completed more deep ball passes than any other quarterback in the league.
Oh, there you go. He's slinging it downfield, but
It
this is
helps
a
when you have
funny
Mike
one.
Evans on the other end of that, and Chris
Yeah,
Godwin. Yeah,
yeah, breaking records up there with Jerry Rice. But
right,
yeah, this is a funny one to me because earlier this season when these two met, the
right. In
Bucks were
Tampa. Yeah.
yeah the Bucks were a 2.5 point favorite at home,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost the game by 3. And so now the game is in Atlanta, and the Falcons are a 2.5 point favorite at home. And you know what, Jim? Wouldn't shock me to see the Bucks win this game by 3.
You know, something's
That'll be my
really
prediction for it as well.
something is weird about this rivalry. Well, not it's not really a rivalry, but it's they play each other in the same division, and that is that more often than not, over the years, the Bucks have won that game in Atlanta, and the Falcons have won the game in Tampa. I have no idea why. It doesn't make sense, but it just seems like the team that's a visiting team does better, on the road than they do at home. So there you go.
Yeah, sometimes that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, it is. All right, so here's the national game, which is the late game, one of the late games, on on Sunday, and it's a marquee matchup in name necessarily only. I'm not sure what's going to happen. It's Buffalo at Kansas City. I mean, in years past, that's been the championship game. In this year, it's not so much.
Yeah, this is another interesting one. Just because the Chiefs were a 2.5 point favorite, and they're down to 1 now, and the Chiefs are at home.
Let me ask you from a gaming standpoint, okay? If I were in that business, in your business, which I'm not, thank God for you, for the benefit of so many people who would lose money, um, if I were involved in that, I couldn't pick this game.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jim. This is not. I don't have
Both
premium play
sides
on this
scare
game.
the hell out of me.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? Like this is a game where the Chiefs are coming off a loss in
Yeah,
prime time, where everybody was watching.
yeah,
They're going to be at home here, but you have a Bills team that's in desperation mode.
mm-hmm.
They need this win. They lose another game, they're probably not making a wild card. They have to win this game, especially with the way the AFC is. Because if it was
Right,
the NFC, they could maybe take a seventh loss. But
sure,
the fact that the whole AFC North is above 500,
right,
you can't lose more than 6 games. The wild card teams are going to be double digit win teams in the
mm-hmm.
AFC. It's actually unbelievable how strong really the
Right,
AFC is this year. It's much stronger than the
and
NFC
balanced.
as a
Yeah,
whole. Yeah, so this is one where I don't have a premium play on the game. I don't even know if I'm gonna personally bet it. Maybe it might
right,
be a live bet, something to
mm-hmm.
watch. But yeah, like I just laid it out for you. It's a game where the Chiefs are playing for pride at home after getting embarrassed by Green Bay in prime time. but the Bills are in desperation mode. They simply, you're going to see them play the way the Seahawks played the Cowboys on
Mhm.
Thursday night, like last week
Mhm.
Thursday night. It's going to be one of those, like, they have to just keep pounding it. And look at the way the Bills play. They almost beat the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Right.
So they're due for a win. They've been losing these close games. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have been doing the opposite. You know, they got off to that strong
Mhm.
start when we kind of thought they were a little overrated, and now you're seeing them regress back to the mean. And if I had to lean, I would take the Bills. The
Mhm.
line's moving towards them, and I just think it's the right spot for the Buffalo Bills here.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm not touching this game personally.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing Kansas City, uh, in the NFL, you don't really have. It's not, you don't. It's not like a college game. I mean, you get the crowds are loud, and Kansas City is as loud as any building in the bill. In all of football, Arrowhead is crazy loud. But I mean, how many times Buffalo's played there? As many times as some of the teams in the West. I mean, they've been there for playoff games and all kinds of good stuff. So, I mean, I can't think that Buffalo's going to be intimidated by the crowd in Kansas City. That's not going to happen. So yeah, it does. That freaks me. The other late game in Kansas in on CBS scares me from Denver and the Chargers. They're playing at SoFi Stadium, and that's both of those teams have. If they have any hope of making it to the postseason, they both have to win.
Yeah, definitely. That's another desperation scrap there. You got a Broncos team that was probably one of the hottest in the
Hmm.
NFL up until their loss last week, and a Chargers team that just finds ways to lose games week
Right.
after week,
Yeah.
and is probably a lot better than the way they have played this season. So
Hmm.
yeah, definitely. That's a desperate, and the Chargers have 7 losses already,
Hmm.
so they're definitely even more so desperation for them here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's crucial. All right, let's go to Fox, where their number one early game is the Rams at Baltimore. Joe Davis and Daryl Moose Johnson on the call. Um, you would think, and this is what gets people in trouble, thinking that this would be a piece of cake for Baltimore. And the problem with Baltimore is when they face teams that they should just run out of the building, they haven't. They've run the good teams out of the building, but when teams show up you know that they should beat, they usually beat them, but they leave them stick around for a lot longer.
yeah, and again, it's this is the time of the season where teams are going into desperation mode, and that's what
Hmm.
you have here with the Rams. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
the NFC race isn't as strong, so they're in a good position with their 6-6 record. But
Hmm.
they're still in that position where if they take a seventh loss, they're really not making the wild card. Like, this is the make or break game
Yeah.
of the season for them. They need to win to maybe push themselves towards the playoffs.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is a huge game for them, and everybody's getting healthy now on
Hmm.
the Rams. That's something we really haven't seen from them all year.
Yeah.
Healthy Stafford, Nakua, Cup. So absolutely, you're getting 7.5. I would lean to the Rams here. I think
Hmm.
the Rams can go in there and score on this defense.
Yep. Detroit at Chicago. Uh, Adam Armin and Mark Schlereth on the call for that one. Um, Detroit. I think Detroit has to keep moving. You know what? I think they every time they win, they start believing better in themselves, and I think that you know Detroit needs to keep winning in Chicago. Um, they're playing the game at Chicago, so that makes it difficult. Only because of two things. One, it's going to be on the lake, which means it's going to be windy and it's going to be cold. So um, on the passing side of the game, that makes it a little more difficult because when you throw the ball in the wind, you don't know where the hell it's going. The other thing, if it's cold, you got receivers whose hands don't necessarily work as well as they should. So That's going to be an interesting game, but I still think Detroit. Um, is this is I'm guessing because again I don't know the line, but I'm guessing it's north of 6 points.
3 point favorite for the Lions.
Oh really? Okay,
Yeah, and I think one thing
that's
that's
surprising.
factoring. Yeah, I think one thing that factors in is you got to remember the Lions may play in Detroit, but they play in a dome.
Yeah, I
So
know. That's
that's
what I'm saying.
definitely
That why
it.
the wide receivers' hands are going to be, boardish.
Yeah, and again, you could look to their road game last week where well they were great on the road last week. Well, they played in a dome last week
Yeah,
in New Orleans. So,
yeah,
the dome teams play well in domes, but
right.
now they go out to the elements where you said it's going to be nice and windy and all that. And yeah, so it's going to be definitely an interesting game. Obviously there's a little revenge factor for the Bears from a few weeks ago. But yeah, as you said, the Lions are gaining confidence with every win, and neither team is really in desperation mode here because obviously you have a 9-win
Hmm.
Lions team just trying to keep pace at the top of the division, whereas the Bears are pretty much out of the playoffs. I think it's safe to say with 8 losses, but
Hmm.
yeah, it'll be an interesting divisional game.
Let me ask you this from a gaming standpoint. When you've got Detroit and Chicago playing at Soldier Field in Chicago, and I mean the elements are it's chilly. It's not yet to a point where it's snowy and really really cold, but it's windy and cold. Um, do you lean in cases like this toward the under as opposed to the over?
It really depends.
Hmm.
Wind is obviously a big factor for sure. Rain is as well, but it all depends because like a dome team like the Lions, I would say
Hmm.
yes, I would lean to the under because they're not going to be used to the elements as
Right,
opposed to a Josh Allen who knows how to, played at Wyoming, plays in
right,
Buffalo, knows how to throw in the elements.
right.
So, there could be snow in their game against the Chiefs, and that game could still go over.
Right.
So yeah, I think definitely that's where I would say when a dome team goes out to play in the elements, it would definitely I would lean under in those ones for sure because I think also they're going to want to run the ball. The dome team more
Hmm.
is going to try to establish the run game. They don't want to throw. They're not used to throwing it in the elements. Those type of things.
Well, the game we're talking about next is playing in a dome, and it's the Caesars Dome down in New Orleans, and New Orleans is hosting Carolina. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma on the call. Quick question: is Jameis quarterbacking this week for New Orleans, or um, is Derek Carr gonna? Because I know he left the game last week with what some people thought was a shoulder injury. Any update on the status of who is going to be quarterbacking for the New Orleans Saints on Sunday?
That's a great question. I can give us an update right
Okay.
here. I do see Olave is questionable with an illness, so
Mm-hmm.
possibly he might be back. Derek Carr is questionable with a concussion. So,
Oh, concussion protocol. Okay,
yeah.
so he's probably going to play.
Yeah, the concussion protocol has been really weird this year. I
Yeah.
don't know if he's going to play. I don't think it really matters whether it's Jameis Winston or I'd even take Taysom Hill at this point.
Right. It
Let
is
him throw the
Carolina.
ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Panthers, so they're 5.5 point
Yeah.
underdog in this game. The Panthers have been better recently, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is toward what you were saying, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they got rid of Frank Reich, and now
Mm-hmm.
they're running an offense, in the modern era of the
Mm-hmm.
NFL that works in the NFL, and you've
Mm-hmm.
seen them. You're seeing the progress. So this is a game I'm not touching, Jim.
I wouldn't for. I mean, this is a friends and family game.
Yeah.
This is not. This is speaking of a friends and family game, Minnesota and Vegas.
If I had
Um,
to, I'd probably take the points with the Panthers, but
yeah,
not touching this game.
nobody's forcing you. Don't worry about it. Here's another one of those games, friends and family game, Minnesota and Vegas. Not something we need to talk about long there. Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez on that call of that game for Fox. Here's the game of the day, I think, on for Fox anyway. Might be the game of the day in the NFL, and that is Seattle at San Francisco. Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson on the call for that one.
Yeah, this is another very interesting game. The 49ers are an 11-point favorite here. And obviously, they just had that, monumental win over
Mm-hmm.
the Eagles. They had that game circled all
Oh yeah,
season because to them, it wasn't a revenge game. To them, it was, we're going to show you we would have beat your ass if we had a quarterback in that game.
right.
So yeah, this is one, and Seattle's one of those desperation mode teams, and we've already seen a glimpse of it last Thursday when they played the Cowboys. They scored 35 points on that Cowboys defense that I've been praising all season, and again, I think we did talk a bit about that game. I kind
Yeah,
of chalked it up to Seattle being desperate. That's why they were able to score because they're just not going to stop. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is definitely has a different ring with it being a divisional game, and obviously the Niners embarrassed them in Seattle on Thanksgiving a few weeks ago. So I'm with you, Jim. This is the game to watch it for.
yeah. Yes,
Other than the Bills Chiefs, this is the
well,
Fox
that's
game
true.
to
Yeah,
watch.
this is a Fox game. You can switch back and forth. Yeah. Um, my brother texted me this morning and said, "Please do not forget that I'm in Columbus and we're doing the Apple's doing the MLS Cup final." Um, so, as a favor to my brother and to MLS fans all over the country, um, that's the MLS. I mean, something he was talking about. He said, the LAFC has a shot at creating a soccer dynasty, perhaps, if they can get by this. I'm not so sure about that, but it's and of course, there's a Canadian, um, who's got a shutout streak coming into this game as well.
Oh, there's a Canadian.
Yeah, Mr. Crepeau.
Oh, the keeper.
Yeah,
I see. I see. Okay. Well, for your brother, good friend of the show,
yeah.
we will talk about the MLS final. As you said, 4 o'clock. Is it in Columbus or
It's in
is
Columbus. Yeah.
it get home
Otherwise,
advantage, right?
he would rather it be in Los Angeles, but it is in Columbus. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Columbus was the higher. They had the most
They
points.
had the higher
That's
seed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They were technically more points than LAFC in
Right.
the full league table, so they get home advantage here. The game is tomorrow
Yep.
at 4 in the afternoon. Columbus is plus 120, I guess,
Hmm.
because they're at home.
Perhaps.
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know how. Because look, I'm with your brother here. LAFC is already a dynasty. I don't
Hmm.
think they need to win this game.
Yeah.
They are a dynasty, and this is the end of the dynasty. This is their final year because
Hmm.
we all know Carlos Vela is leaving the MLS
Yeah.
at the end of the season. So unless LAFC can attract, which they definitely could, because there is tons of talent on that team still,
Hmm.
and unless they can attract another big name, though, they might take a step back next year.
Hmm.
So LAFC, I think, from what I've seen, I've watched a few of their games.
Hmm.
I bet them. I bet them live against Houston. They,
Hmm.
they ended up winning that one. From what I've seen, they're going to win this game. They're going to win the MLS Cup. You're going to give me plus 220 on it. Give me the plus the half on LAFC. Give me LAFC to lift the trophy. All right, the game might not be in LA. Sorry to your brother, but
Right.
he's going to be seeing them lift the trophy in Columbus because this is Carlos Vela's goodbye. This is
Swan
his
song,
send
huh?
off, right?
Yeah.
One last MLS Cup. I
Mm.
did my we dominated the MLS at LA for
Hmm.
years, and I've done my thing. We're gonna go off on another championship because they really wanted to win CONCACAF Champions League earlier this year.
Hmm.
They didn't. They lost in the final, obviously, to the Mexican club
Right.
Leon. And yeah, this was one where they definitely had a little drought in the middle of the season after that Champions League loss, but they picked themselves out of that hole and they went on a run near the end of the season. And I think they are the best team in the MLS. They're playing the best. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that Cincinnati was kicked out by Columbus,
Mm-hmm.
there is no team that can stop this LAFC team other than them. So give me LA.
Take LA. Okay. Well, and it's one thing that George was telling me was that LAFC has been shopping in South America for a player or two. So we'll have to
There you
see
go.
see what's
He's
going.
ahead of me. He's got insider information. He
Yeah.
knows they're going to be a dynasty because
Yeah.
they're reloading with these South American wonder kids that we
Yeah.
talk about.
And he goes, they're going to get some kids who, 2 or 3 years from now will be off to the Premier League. But for right now, they like the money and they like the fact that playing in LA is a lot of fun. So
Yeah, so they're doing it the Brazilian club
yeah,
style.
yeah.
Get the most out of these younger players, and
And
then
they
you
know they're not going to stick
sell them.
around. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you sell them for the big buck. You develop them really,
Right.
and then when they're good enough, you sell them for more than what you
Yeah.
bought to the Premier League club because they're the chumps
Right.
who spend the money, right?
Right. And you
Brazil's
cash the checks.
yeah, all the South American countries are out here pumping the kids out and just getting into the minor
Right.
ranks. They
Yeah.
that's where all the stars come from, and then
Yeah.
they're making the big bucks. It's the European clubs that come along and buy them
Well,
out.
they're
But
they're on a scouting mission in South America.
they've figured it out for sure because these South American clubs, they know what they're doing. They get the most out of these young players, and then they
Mhm.
still sell them for more because they obviously developed them in the academy. And then
Mhm.
you know what they use that money for? To go retool their team, and they stay competitive. So
Yeah.
I love the South American leagues. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
The concept is a good one.
Yeah, you
It-
don't have to have players in their prime.
no, no. Take them before, and let them learn. So
Yeah, and that's what makes the league so exciting, right? It's
yeah.
more actionful because you got these younger players.
Mhm.
They can run around. They have the energy. They're not afraid to take the shot or make the stupid
Well,
mistake.
look at the kids on Miami who are getting to play with Leo Messi. I mean,
Yeah,
they're learning and they're having a great time, and he's made them better, better players.
yeah, and
And
they're learning that they're just minor
yeah,
league players to him, but they're
yeah.
definitely benefiting from playing with
Oh,
him.
100%.
Absolutely.
And they're learning from the master, and I mean, just being on the same field in practice with the guy is a bit starstruck situation.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's a good thing. Uh, Before we get out of here, because it's moving on into the plus time, uh, and we want to know what you're going to be doing for the weekend because you're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. Any Premier League games or European soccer that we should be paying attention to this weekend?
Yeah, there's tons going on. We have another
Mm-hmm.
Champions League week next week, but so
Mm-hmm.
you got to be mindful of what you're betting this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a great Premier League slate. The game tomorrow to watch in the afternoon is the Aston Villa Arsenal. Obviously,
You had mentioned that was going to be interesting.
yeah, Villa just beat Man City.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 days ago on
Yep.
Wednesday
Yep.
as
Which you had
one,
said was
yeah,
going to
one
happen.
nothing. 1-0 at home. I said take the plus the half,
Yep.
and I watched it live. I ended up taking the plus 350 money line, and
Mm-hmm.
somewhere around the 60th minute. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they won a 1-0 match. It was a great match to watch, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Arsenal is in for a similar match because this Villa team, they're great at home. That's going to be a great match to watch. The one
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday, that is like the marquee matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just check here. Tottenham and Newcastle. So
Okay.
definitely some good matches this
The
weekend.
Spurs.
Yeah, they just
So.
lost yesterday 2-1 to West Ham in a total collapse. But
Well, there you go. All right. Well, we know that you can follow Amadeus in the show box below, but talk about what you got going for the weekend. I imagine it's going to be a full slate of action.
yeah, so make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I'm coming off a 3-3 day. All three of my losses were on the pitch, unfortunately, but we'll bounce
Hey,
back.
things happen.
Exactly. We're going to bounce back over the weekend. I don't have my picks up, but they'll be up for soccer around sometime tonight. So
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye out. I'll have all the plays on the pitch up. The only thing I got going tonight are two NBA plays. But I went 2-0 last night. I had the Pacers and the Lakers. So if you're looking for some hard court action, you get my two NBA plays, and you could also get my full NFL card for Sunday, which I've already posted.
Wow. Now, are you and Rye doing a show later today that people should keep an eye out for? Or
No, but I did do a show for the Insiders Room, just a little quick free play show where I
Mhm.
dropped two free plays in the Premier League, so you can go check that out at the Insiders Room YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah, we will definitely make sure that people go over and take a look at that so that we can get them for you. So, all right, folks, we've had a wonderful, fun time here on a full Friday, and if you want to cash some tickets, by all means, pay attention to the man over there in the little box, Mr. Amadeus. He's got all kinds of fun stuff for you. So have a great weekend and a fun weekend, and we shall be back on Monday to cash to show what tickets have been cashed. All right, take care, everybody. Have a nice day.